Go ahead and get started. Go ahead and get started. I'll call this meeting of the Ridgway Workforce and Affordable Housing Committee to order, and have a roll call, please.
Pauline Kroger, not present. Kevin Grambley,
Here.
Beth Lakin,
Here.
Terry Schuyler. is
Here.
not- Oh, sorry, Terry.
A couple on Zoom.
JT Thomas,
Here.
Russ Meyer is not present. John Clark.
Here.
Thanks, Russ.
Russ just showed up. All right, these are public hearings, so we have to follow the usual quasi judicial process. Let's take up each item in order. Hear from staff. Eventually hear from the applicant, I imagine. Then taking public comment. If there is no public comment, we're at the end of public comment, we'll close that. And then we'll bring it up here for debate. So starting with item number one, consideration.
Mayor, if I may real quick before
Yeah,
we
go
go
ahead.
into each individual public hearing, would you all be okay if we have Ross from IDF give a general overview?
Oh, yeah,
refresher into
totally fine.
about what we're doing today and what's set forth in the agenda?
Yeah.
Awesome, great. Morning, Ross.
Good morning.
There we go.
All right. So good morning. Thanks again for having me here, Town Council. Really appreciate your time. Today we're going to be going over the exception hearings that were presented in the agenda. Just as a general overview for the program, there's been some updates and information that I wanted to share with you all to make sure that you're able to make the best decision possible. And just as a refresher, this is the general policy goals for the program as stated in the program guidelines. When we're looking at household income, the household income is going to be limited to a maximum of 60, 80, and 120% AMI. Two of the homes are going to be designated at 60% AMI. One home will be designated at 80% AMI, and the rest will be designated at 120. So that would be 11 homes that are up to 120% area median income. As a reminder, total household income, earned income must be at least 75% of the total household income, and unearned income cannot exceed 25% of the total household income. This is probably redundant for you all, but just a reminder about area median income. The important piece to notice is that AMI numbers are updated once per year by HUD, and we did have that happen, and we applied the newest figures to the applicants that came through. There was about a 5% increase in Uray County when it came to AMI. And so it really did allow those windows to open up a little bit more for folks. And so these are the numbers that were applied. And you can see that it's broken down at 60, 80, 100, and 120, and then broken down by household sizes up to 4 individuals. We're looking at the work requirement. This is the work requirement that's currently established in the guideline for individual applicants. And this is going to be really the substance of our discussion today, as the exceptions are based around this work requirement. And so as a reminder, they need to have a minimum number of employment hours. That's 1,200 hours over 12 months. And then you work at least 8 months per 12 at a minimum of 40 hours per month on a rolling basis. And what we're going to find, the majority of the exceptions for today are individuals that may meet the requirements, except the first piece where that at least one member of the household must work in the Ridgway R2 school district boundaries. So this is just again a picture of where we've come from and where we are now. And so lottery opened on April 26th. It closed on May 31st. And here we are on June 6th for the exception hearing. And by 5 p.m. today, we'll be posting those qualified applications. As a heads up, what we're currently looking at are 17 different applications that were fully completed and that were accepted. And of those 17 applications, 6 of those are requesting an exception. One is an exception for a co-borrower that is done administratively. The other 5 exceptions are going to be exceptions that were presented in the agenda today related to the minimum work standard. And so that's kind of what we're looking at now and what we're going to be looking at here in the next few days.
Real quick, what's that administrative cohort? What is that?
If somebody needs a co-borrower to be able to,
A co-borrower.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like co-borrower.
Sorry, yeah.
Co-borrower. Never
it's a co-borrower FHA loan, so if they need assistance in their loan application. And so for those individuals that do request an exception, as a reminder, those individuals will be entered into a second round of the lottery. The first round of the lottery is for individuals that did not require an exception to be able to apply. This is just a reminder on what the exceptions really means and how it kind of all works. So applicants can apply for exceptions for most criteria, but we need to keep in mind that there is no exception for an AMI limit issue. So somebody makes too much, or an asset limit issue where they have way too many assets to qualify, which is 3 times the purchasing price of the home.
Sorry, another question. So you said we have 17, so we have 17 applicants without exceptions, and then the additional ones we're hearing today.
17 total.
Okay.
And then there's going to be the 6 that have exceptions. So there's 11 that qualify without any exceptions, and then there's 6
Okay.
that are have an exception, 1 being approved because it's done administratively, and then the other 5 requesting approval today.
And then those 11, sorry, just because I'm trying to get it, those 11 are coming in the first round. So
Yes.
essentially they're all getting
Potentially, because the way that that's going to happen, just to dive, I'll just dive back here.
sorry.
No, these are great questions.
We all have them.
Well, when we do the lottery drawing, we're going to be doing the first and the second round list of applicants, and each name is going to have an associated number. It's going to be just like watching like the Powerball, right? And so once we pull those numbers, they're going to be pulled in an order, and then that's the order that we're going to call the different individuals. And so we'll say, hey, you know, X person, you were chosen first of the homes. Which one would you like? And then keeping in the back of our mind is that they can't qualify for the 60, 80, 120. So there's an AMI issue. And then if it's a single person household, they can't necessarily buy a 3-bedroom, 3-bath attached garage home. For this one, it's gonna be pretty easy because there's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom. And so if it's 2-bedroom, you can be a 1-person household. If it's 3-bedroom, you can't. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. Thank you.
Great. And so this is just a reminder on the exception hearing. It is a quasi-judicial proceeding, just as John mentioned earlier. And so we're going to be here today to hopefully determine the facts, draw conclusions from the procedures, and provide an action for really us to take with these applicants. And so let's go ahead and dive into these exception hearings. Actually, let's go ahead and dive into these exception hearings. I just want to give you all a reminder too, is that if you do not feel that you have enough information to be able to approve or deny an application, you can provide a conditional approval of the application. Where at that point you could say, for example, yes, we approve, but we need a little bit more information on X. Please provide to program administrator, me, IDS, to verify, and you can grant me the authority to approve the application once I'm able to verify the accuracy of that information. So if there's any issue you see there, please keep that in the back of your pocket. And as a quasi-judicial proceeding, there is no ex parte communication as well. And so let's go ahead and dive into some of these applicants.
So with that, why don't we, if you're gonna go one by one through each applicant, why don't we follow normal meeting protocol with each public hearing? About that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Or Bo, what do you think about that?
Yes.
All right, so that brings us to item number 1 on our agenda. And I'm open to having staff give us the initial presentation for this first item.
Great. And so we're going to go ahead and start with the application for Dalton Carver. Dalton Carver has lived in Ridgway for approximately 8 years. He has demonstrated a commitment to this community by not only living here for 8 years, but also by working as a wildland firefighter, volunteering for the Ridgway Volunteer Fire Department, and has worked in the Ridgway School District boundary for the majority of his tenure here. He finds himself in a situation where he worked for the United States Forest Service and is based in Montrose, but his service coverage area does actually touch different parts of the Ridgway School District boundary. If you look at the Ridgway School District boundary, you'll see that there's national forest land that's actually inside that same boundary. And so the issue is that he doesn't have the physical presence in the Ridgway School District boundary to qualify for the minimum hours of 40 hours a month. And so he is applying for a request for exemption from this requirement. Are there any questions that you all have?
Any questions for staff? No. Okay.
And I don't. Okay, I wasn't sure if he was going to attend or not, but I just wanted to double check if he had a chance to speak.
Yeah, he's not on Zoom, is he? All right, I think we need to open up for public comment. Anyone either here in the room or on Zoom have any comments or questions or input on this particular item? The applicant for the exception request from Dalton Carver.
I just have a question for your procedure. Do you approve these one at a time, or do you?
Correct.
Oh, they're all done.
One at a time.
Okay, that's my only question. Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer. Anyone else? All right, I will close the public comment period and bring it back up here for us to deliberate.
Dalton's a member of the Ridgway community.
Totally. He's
Like,
he's a,
this is why we're having this hearing.
yeah. This is
I've worked out
perfect example.
for years.
We all know Dalton.
This whole project is designed for Dalton and people like Dalton. Yeah, it's designed for, absolutely. So I gave you thumbs up.
Okay. We have draft motions in the packet.
Okay. I move to approve the employee exception request for Dalton Carver.
Second.
Do we need to state the criteria which the exception should be granted, that guideline number 311 blah blah
If you'd
blah.
like. Yeah.
Yes, please.
It's in the draft. motion.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Under 11.1.3.2B, recognizes the long-term commitment of the exception applicant to residency, employment, and community involvement.
Thank you. And whoever seconded that. Second. We've got wording. Agreed. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Direct, we have 2 roll call because we got people on Zoom. So roll call vote, please, Pam.
Kevin Gramley,
Aye.
Beth Lakin,
Aye.
Terry Skyler.
Aye.
JT Thomas,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
John Clark.
Aye. And Terry and JT, I apologize for not specifically asking you if you had comments, but please speak up if you do in the future. All right, so that completes item number 1. Let's go to item number 2.
Individual number 2 is actually on the Zoom call as well. Her name is Erin Dashner. Erin is a full-time year-round employee at the Telluride School District and has lived in the region for close to 20 years. She currently lives in Telluride, and her application is for a household size of 1. She's really looking for stable housing to stay in the region. She has repeatedly expressed her desire to me to become a even larger part of the Ridgway community. And she mentions that she spends most of her weekends in Ridgway and would like to be a part of this community again. Similarly, Erin is not a qualified employee due to the lack of physical presence of employment in the Ridgway School District boundary. It's staff recommendation that her request be approved on similar grounds as far as meeting all other requirements in the application, except for the physical presence requirement of the minimum work standard for qualified employees section.
Okay, thanks, Russ. Aaron, do you have anything you want to add?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, I've just been a long time local in the area and the region. I absolutely love it. I do spend actually most of my time off down in Ridgway, Orvis, the restaurants. I got friends down there biking. I just really love the region, and with the housing, crisis in our region, just been looking for a long-term opportunity to purchase. I was in the Norwood Pinion Park lottery as well. I think I ended up in second on the second round. So I'm like second on the wait list. So close, but absolutely love Ridgway and would love the opportunity to be, considered as a part of the second round of this lottery.
Great, thanks, Aaron. All right, anybody have any questions for staff or for Aaron? Up here. Okay, hearing none, I will open up the public comment period. Anyone either in the room or on Zoom have any comments or questions on this exception request? All right, seeing none, bring it back up here for deliberation.
I have some angst about this one.
It's a tough one.
As a teacher, I really, really appreciate the fact that housing is hard. But also, I feel like our community is going to have reasonable pushback to us providing a slot for a Telluride employee.
A 19-year teacher, that says a lot, and that is who we really, really want to be in these homes. But I can only imagine the response if
And it's a rightful response.
it is. It is.
Well, but I also always like to point out that our mayor pro tem for 20 years was Eric Johnson, who worked at Telluride Medical Center, active member of the community. I've always felt like there's, it's not a hard line to draw when we talk about people who work in Telluride but consider this their home and where their heart is, their community. Jobs are hard to find sometimes, and when you find a good job and it's in Telluride, I don't know that should be necessarily held against you.
But I can go to events in Telluride and I can go to restaurants in Telluride. And I'm not a member of the Telluride community. Like I just this one hits me hard and it's difficult for me.
I hear you.
I think I have coworkers in Ridgway who didn't apply for this lottery because the requirements said Ridgway School District. And I'd be much more willing to look at a Ridgway teacher than a Telluride teacher, unfortunately.
JT?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Aaron directly, with all those years in Telluride, are there aspirations to move employment over here?
That could definitely be a consideration for sure. And even part-time, it is, this would be a step in moving in that direction.
Gotcha. And then also my second question then, is since you were on the waiting list for the Pinion project over in Norwood, the lottery happens here and you're selected, would you then pull your position from the second spot on the waiting list over in Norwood?
Yeah, as far as I understand, those homes are all spoken for, so that's just it's kind of a done deal, I believe. I really only qualified for the 2 bedrooms as well over there, and there was 5 of those. So I think those are all moved in and done. I just kind of happened to be, left at the second, so close, but no cigar. But that's, yeah, I believe done.
Understood. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, JT. I would point out that I believe we can prove these conditionally if there's a feeling that maybe we'd like to put a condition that she them to find work over here in a certain period of time. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a forcible condition.
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have comments, have thoughts? Terry?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So there's 17 applicants for 14 slots, is that correct?
Correct.
And, okay, that's the only question I had. Thank you. Which means three people are not going to make the lottery. Three
Well,
applicants.
maybe, depending on all sorts of factors.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, should we approve all 4 of these 5 of these exceptions, there will be 3 make the lottery.
But the point is that some people, even though they get through the lottery and get selected, they might not be able to qualify still financially and otherwise.
Exactly. They're only really pre-qualified for a certain amount right on the home. And there's also restrictions based on their household size. So if your household size is 1, you really are only eligible for those 2-bedroom homes.
There may not be any 2-bedroom homes.
And there might not be any left.
So
Exactly.
you get to, yeah, so there's a lot of moving parts here. That means that there's still, even with 17 applicants, whether or not the 5 exceptions get approved, even if they all got approved, we could end up with openings at the end of the whole process.
I really wish we could rank these exceptions.
Yeah, and I don't think there's
There's no provision for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to point out that, 3 of the 5 exceptions here are all folks that do not work obviously that's the reason for the exception. So disqualifying any one of them for that, disqualifying all of them for that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was gonna provide a little bit more information too that I thought might be helpful. So before referring back to the exception guidelines, and we go to appendix C, which is the lottery point system criteria. There are some differences in the second round. So just as in the first round, if you are, let's say, school district personnel, you get an additional entry. There are additional entries for folks based on the amount that they work in Ridgway, if they work at all, or based on whether or not they live in Ridgway. So let's say if an applicant lives in Ridgway but does not have at least 20 hours of physical presence per week working in the Ridgway school district boundaries, then they would qualify for 3 entries, not just 1. So in this case, one of the applicants would have 3 entries, and then the other applicants seemingly would have.
So essentially, you're pointing out that there's kind of a built-in ranking that
It's in some ways, yes. It's not like the way that I think you were describing, but it does provide.
it does address that a little bit.
Exactly.
So what happens, let's say hypothetically, we deny this exception request. And we go through the lottery process and we end up with a home at the end that either no one qualified to purchase or is left over. What happens then?
At that point, it would become a first come, first served basis. Obviously not just like a free for all.
Right.
But you would have to qualify for the homes and you have to apply.
And so could there be?
So could I then approve this exception at that moment?
Could she reapply for an exception at that point?
Yes, you may reapply for an exception.
Even if someone was turned down, they could reapply.
Yeah, so let's say that the request for an applicant is denied for the initial sale. Once the lottery is closed, we'll open up to a first come, first served basis. And at that point, folks can reapply. If they still need an exception, they can apply for an exception as well.
Okay, where do we want to go with this one?
That sits with me. I don't know that I feel that we should approve this one. In the event something is left over and other units aren't able, and we have remaining units left over, then I think that we should be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I just really struggle with, like I said, I struggle with this one, and I think, Erin, I want you to know, like, I'm open to a second round exception hearing. I feel like we gotta offer it to those people who are deeply embedded in Ridgway as our first go round.
Certainly know that that's been a community sticking point for years. All right, somebody want to make a motion? Further discussion?
So yeah, I would just say we can't just let it
Yeah.
die. We need to have a
We-
motion.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and move applicant's household, let's see. Where is the actual language for that?
It's in the first memo. It's in the very first memo.
On consideration,
Page.
move to, okay. Page,
It's actually, yeah.
Page 4 of the memo and page 6 of the PDF.
okay.
You got it.
Move to grant an exception to guidelines 3.1.1.1 qualified employee based upon the following findings. I guess it refers to 11.1.3.2.b. I'm not sure I'm giving you the right language. Applicants,
That's correct. That's correct. So you're moving to approve,
yes.
okay? With the criteria as stated. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Gramley,
Nay.
Beth Lakin,
Nay.
Terry Skylar,
Aye.
JT Thomas,
aye.
Russ Meyer,
Nay.
John Clark,
Oh, so this isn't town council, so I believe I do get to vote here, right? Just so you know, Ross, we're a weak mayor form of government at the council level, so I don't get to vote unless there's a tie.
So he's not used to this.
I'm not used to it. I don't get to vote very often.
The bylaws are silent in that regard.
Interesting. The bylaws for this group.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna vote aye, which can leave us with a tie. Yep. So where does that leave us?
That's a really good question.
We just broke the system.
Yeah, well, thanks for that.
Should we open it back up for public comment? Like, I don't know that there is public, should we table this one and circle back? at the
Yeah, I
end?
think that's probably the best approach is to table this one. And then, so we'll close the public hearing, close the vote on this, table it and circle back at the end of the agenda.
Jennifer has her hand up.
Okay, Jennifer.
I guess I just want to make a comment. This is a precedent. And people owning a house, I mean, that person could potentially be there for the next 20 plus years. So it's not like something that has to be filled up within the next 3 months or something. And I just I worry that this person is a great person, I have no doubt, but the precedent, it's like you're just sort of throwing it out that you have to work here. I mean, even though if you have a great job, it's like, I don't know, that's the biggest rule, it seems to me. So that's my comment. Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer. All right, sounds like we're gonna table this one and move on to the others and then come back to this one again.
Excellent.
Cool.
So,
All right,
number 3.
so we're gonna move on to our third exception request applicant, Candace DuPont. Candace DuPont works full-time in Telluride, Colorado, and she is open to obtaining employment in the Ridgway School District boundary, even if it were part-time. She currently lives in Telluride, and her application is for a household size of 1. She is being similarly challenged by the housing landscape in the region, and would appreciate the opportunity to be a permanent resident by owning a home in the region. She is, again, not a qualified employee due to the lack of physical presence of employment in the Ridgway School District boundary. It's a staff recommendation that she be granted the exception based on section 11.1.3.2.
All right. Does anyone, well, let's is Candace on?
Don't see her on the Zoom.
Don't see her on Zoom, okay.
Yeah, she did submit a letter, but I didn't hear if she was gonna be able to join or not.
Okay. So she doesn't say where she works in Telluride, is that right?
School.
She's in
It
school.
implies that, it didn't specifically say it.
I don't even see where it implies that. She says she works in Telluride.
Yeah, and so I reviewed her application, can confirm that she does work in Telluride. And that she does meet the minimum requirement for hours, so she's a full-time employee, works 52 hours a week, 2,080 hours a year.
I feel the same way about this one as I did the last one.
Yeah.
Same, it was very much the same boat.
Actually,
A school teacher for 19 years
Yeah.
takes precedence. If I knew what Candace did, and I'm not saying that what people do defines a person, but from a community vested sort of interest.
This process has already defined some
Correct.
hierarchy in what people do.
Correct. Which is tricky. Any questions for staff right off the bat? Okay, I'll open it up to public comment. Anyone have any comment either on Zoom or otherwise? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Bring it back up here. As Beth said, this is very similar to the last one, and Kevin said, given she's not a teacher, kind of even marks this one down a little bit. It's just so tricky. I struggle with the, I understand what Jennifer was saying in her comment a minute ago. We want to prioritize people who at least work in Ridgway or Erie County, Ridgway School District boundaries. I've always been a believer that that's a tricky one to have. It's just an absolute hard and fast rule. So that's my thoughts.
I move we deny this DuPont's exception.
Do we hold
request.
public hearing?
Oh, sorry, do we
No,
close the
public
public
Yeah,
hearing?
we did.
We did. Yes, there's a handout from Therese.
Oh,
sorry.
There, okay. I asked for it and I closed it, but I'll open it back up again because somebody wasn't paying attention. Therese, go ahead.
Hi, I'm sorry. I called in and I didn't realize I couldn't raise my hand and then I had to zoom in, so I got lost for a second.
All right.
But sorry about that. I understand how difficult this is in so many ways. And I think that I think you're jumping ahead a couple steps is my feeling. If you were to allow out of county residents at this point, I think we need to allow some more local residents to get in and maybe allow Ridgway County residents first. I just think that there's a lot of kind of negative feeling with some of these projects, and I just don't think we need to add to it in any way. We need to be as clean as possible and really try to get Ridgway County residents in there, number one.
Thanks, Trace.
Thank you.
JT, you think you were next?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand why it gets to this point, and with staff having recommended that it came to us, at least in this information, that all of these should be considered, but without details. And I'm just struggling with having to navigate at this juncture, the previous candidate who has 19 years experience in the school district, and, you know, for those reasons, you know, seems to step above as a promising candidate, but then to not have the full background of this candidate, and also from being out of county. I'm trying to figure out logic from staff, why we are faced with this at this point. Can you speak to that, Preston or John?
I can't because I'm not staff, but Ross or Preston possibly could. I had the same concern. You know, we typically, in everything we do, we get staff reports with staff recommendations. And it was in the back of my mind, I was seeing a little bit of a red flag about these all being recommended for approval when they don't meet such a major criteria. So can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so some of these applicants have more information based on what they submitted. And so they have the opportunity to provide a request for exception, and they're included in the packet as well. And some of those include the information like working in the Telluride School District, and some of them did not. And they have the opportunity to submit a letter as well, which is also included, and they also have the opportunity to join either in person or remotely. And so I'm presenting the information that was presented to me as part of their application. The reason that we are recommending approval is because from our perspective, they're very similar requests, but really at the end of the day, that's why we have a committee to determine what those nuances are and what the best path forward is.
Okay. And it does help. It still leaves me with the blind spots on the subjective nuances that you're speaking to. So that's where I feel like I'm struggling going from candidate to candidate.
And I would just point out that in Candace's request for exception, she does say that she currently works full-time in Telluride, but then she says, I would be open to obtaining employment in the Ridgway School District, even if we're part-time. And again, I think this is where the conditions come in.
Again, though, I feel like we're by the way that things are set up, we cannot rank these candidates. We can approve or deny, right?
Well, we can conditionally approve.
Yes, but I can't conditionally approve this person over a 20-year employee of Telluride School District.
Except for this person is committing to obtaining employment in the district.
Sure.
I just point out,
Yeah,
I understand your concern.
I just feel like it makes it a really difficult call to put an exception on this circumstance. I wouldn't ask someone to leave their employment with the school district. I know that having teachers in a long-term position.
Well, she's not.
I understand, but the whole question of this
Gotcha.
is going to be, our community wants us to employ and house.
And I apologize. We're kind of doing this wrong in that we're back in public comment. There's another hand up. So Kristen, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kristen Arnold. I live in Ridgway, and I just want wanted to step in and say that I think, I want to reiterate Teresa's comments that there is, as we all know, a housing shortage for locals. And I think we should focus on locals in Uray County and possibly put this out to them again and prioritize that prior to reaching out to other communities. And because I think that just forces their problem here. And I think we should focus on our community first prior to expanding. Just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. All right,
So, John, I think.
yes. If there are no other public comments, apologize for not catching people first time around, but seeing no more hands up, I'm going to close the public comment period. Bring it back up here for deliberation. I think we were starting to make a motion.
Yeah, I move to deny Candace DuPont's exception request.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Gramley,
Aye.
Beth Lakin,
Aye.
Terry Skylar,
Aye.
JT Thomas,
Aye.
Russ Meyer,
Aye.
John Clark.
Aye. Okay, that takes us to the fourth exception request.
For the fourth exception request, we have Maria Valadez. She's employed by Tri-County Health Network as a family support partner for their high fidelity wraparound program. And she operates in Ridgway, Uray, Telluride, and Norwood. She's been in this position since September 2021. Currently lives in Montrose, and her application is for a household size of 3. She mentioned that she currently has a pending referral for a family in Uray, and is available to provide services to families living in Ridgway as well as part of her employment. And she believes that long-term there will be other grants and programs to serve the people of Ridgway through their current employer as well, Tri-County Health Network. She is not a qualified employee due to the lack of physical presence of employment in the Ridgway School District boundary, although she communicated to me that this is a part of Tri-County Health Network service area. And if there were a family that presented itself, that they would be able to work directly with her if they live in the Ridgway School District boundary. It is staff recommendation that her request be approved based on exception 11.1.3.2.b.
Okay, thanks, Russ. Any questions or comments from the committee up here for staff? The applicant doesn't appear to be on.
She said that she would try to join. Maria, are you on?
Can't see a name unless she's the phone number.
Is that Rossville?
That's right.
Yeah, she's Valadez. Valdez.
Ross is here.
My apologies.
I get confused looking at it too, honestly.
Yeah, I think Therese is the phone number, so
Okay.
I don't think she's on. But anybody have any questions for staff on this one? This one's a little more complicated. Lives in Montrose, excited for the opportunity to move to Ridgway. Definitely works in our region, but doesn't work physically in Ridgway as of yet.
I'd like to point something out that is from my own experience working at San Miguel Power. 20 of the 25 people that work in our office live in Montrose because they can't find affordable housing in Ridgway. So this has a somewhat different flavor to it than somebody living in Telluride looking for affordable housing to remain employed in Telluride.
Yeah, it's more about where they work. I mean, you're 20 people all work in Ridgway and live in Montrose. They would be classic candidates for these homes.
Yeah.
So
I have a question. Is it an acceptable conditional approval that these children enroll in school in Uray County?
I don't know.
Like I would guess they're not gonna commute their kids back up to Montrose, but
You don't know.
you don't know. I mean, that's a big part of choosing to be part of this community and really establish this as your home.
I would probably feel more comfortable if that was not a condition, but a recommendation.
Recommendation, yeah.
Yeah, because as we all know, there's
It's complicated, I get it. But also state education dollars to your county.
Okay, so that makes sense. We can include that in the motion as a recommendation. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I will open up public comment. We no longer have anybody in the room. Anybody on Zoom have public comment? Okay, going once, going twice. Hearing none, I will close the public comment. Bring back up to
Far more favorable to this applicant. Tri-County Health. Right. Still kind of falls in the other category, but at the same time, kids make a community and the whole idea of new students in school. You know, I always envision basketball hoops and kids on bicycles with these homes and, you know, this works in the community. And so
Yeah, I think it's hard because now I feel like we're splitting hairs where we point at Telluride School District and say, but Uray County is part of Tri-County's coverage area. And I know we all firmly believe that we need family supports, and we need the services that Tri-County brings to this community. So in the face of ranking by approval or denial, this one fits closer with our mission with Watermark Homes, I think.
I agree. I'm good with that. We're ready for motion. I believe we are. Does anybody else, anybody, JT or Terry, got any thoughts? Not that you have to. Okay.
I move to grant an exception to guidelines 3.1.1.1 qualified employee based upon the below findings. The applicant household otherwise qualifies to purchase whether on homes Ridgway unit meeting the requirements guidelines 3.1 household initial qualification. Applicants have long-term commitment to residency, employment, community involvement within the county in which the housing unit is located pursuant to 11.1.3.2.8.
Do you include the recommendation? Just those two? Yes. There.
The recommendation that the students attend,
That the kids.
that the kids attend school in Uray County
In Ridgway School.
and Ridgway School.
Believe.
I will
Okay.
second that.
All right. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Beth. Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Grandley,
I
Beth Lakin,
Aye.
Terry Skylar,
Aye.
JT Thomas,
Aye.
Russ Meyer,
Aye.
John Clark.
Aye. Okay, so that takes us to
Takes us back to number 23.
well, do we want to move on to number 5 or do we want to go back to,
Let's tackle number 5 and then
Yeah.
circle back.
okay. I am going to recuse myself from this item due to my personal relationship with the applicant, and I don't believe I can be unbiased. Unbiased evaluator in this application, so I don't know that we've elected a vice chair, but why don't you take over this?
It would be the mayor pro tem.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we move on to 5th of our scenarios here. You guys want to introduce that one?
Yeah, definitely. And so if you go into your packet, for the second memo that you all have, you're gonna be looking at applicant, Dalton Carver.
No.
So. Oh, sorry, applicant Mikhail Madsen. Sorry, I'm like scrambling to go back up into my memo packet, trying to figure out where to put this. I think it's after all this. Give me 1 second. There's a lot of pages in this packet, sorry.
Oh, this is
Here you go.
nothing. This is-
Yeah.
You brought that
Yes, so thank you for the correction. We're gonna be looking at applicant Mikhail Madsen. We're considering a request of exception from Ridgway Wetterhorn Homes Affordable Housing Regulations and Guidelines, section 3.1.1.2.a. Qualified individual with a disability. You'll find the definition has been added to your packet of what that refers to. Looking at the background, Mikhail Madsen and his daughter, they currently reside in the Ridgway School District boundary, and Madsen is requesting an exemption from 3.1.2.a, qualified individual with a disability resulting from his status as a totally and permanently disabled due to solely to service-connected disabilities under the Department of Veteran Affairs. The existing exemption, what is defined earlier in the memo for a qualified individual with a disability, requires that person to have worked the minimum work standard for the last 5 out of the last 7 years. And so that would be entail similarly to what we were discussing before, the 1,200 hours per year, 40 hours per month, and working 8 out of 12 months, and that's on a rolling basis. And Mikhail does not meet that minimum standard to be considered a qualified individual with a disability, and is looking to receive an exception due to his status as a 100% disabled veteran as of September of 2021. Staff recommendation is that we recognize his 100% disabled status by a federal agency, since he has provided supporting documentation as part of his application, and he has been a member of this community for the past 7 years. And just as a reminder, again, granting an exception would place this individual in the second round, and would also entail the same kind of lottery entry qualifications as well. So in this case, since he already resides in Ridgway, he would get 3 entries as opposed to just getting 1.
Okay. Any other comments, questions here from anybody on council? Not hearing any. Let's open it up to the public, see if there's any comments, questions there.
I'm not sure, I haven't met Mikhail in person, but it might be the individual.
Yeah,
Do you mind if I just go and see if?
That's fine.
I'd appreciate
Do
it.
you know, does anybody know if that's actually the individual?
If I guess.
We'll go ahead and open it up to the public for comment. Anybody has any? Not seeing any, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll wait and see if the requester is actually present. Has anything he wants to say. Stand by. Okay, so no public comment. We don't have the attendee here to represent themselves. Bring it, we've already closed public hearing. Bring it back to staff and council.
I think we have to respect the assignment of 100% disability to Mr. Manson as determined by the Department of Veterans Affairs.
And that would.
I'm actually a little frustrated that this wasn't an administrative approval, like 100% disability should have to beg their case in front of us.
Comments? DJ Terry?
I agree with Beth's comment.
Yeah. What's that?
I said, I agree with Beth's comment.
Okay. Okay.
I move to approve the exception request for Mikhail Madsen.
Second. Motion moved motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Grambley,
Aye.
Beth Lincoln,
Aye.
Terry Skylar,
Aye.
JT Thomas,
Aye.
Russ Meyer,
Aye. Okay. That done. Now we can move back to our former ones we were looking at. We don't look at one.
Item number 2. I'm prepared to change my vote.
Okay.
So I'd say somebody needs just restate them.
Yeah, let's just go through it again.
Go through the whole
So,
process. So we've already had the presentation of the applicants exception request. I will give Aaron, I'll give you another opportunity to speak if you think you have anything to add to try and convince us.
yeah, and to be clear, it'd be the public, open up the
Oh,
public
right.
hearing.
Well, actually, this is sort of like, well, okay, that's fine. Well, let me do this then. First, any further questions or comments from us up here with staff?
Okay.
Okay, then I will open up public comment and give Erin initially another opportunity to address this if she wants. And if not, I understand. Not seeing her unmute, so I think she's.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I'm here. I guess, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know it was quite my turn. Yeah, again, just a longtime local. I've been up in the area for 19 and a half years, full-time year-round, that whole entire duration, and really consider this whole region my home. Again, looking for long-term home ownership within the community, as everybody knows how difficult that could be, and really consider, again, Ridgway as well as, Telluride and the whole region, my home, and really would like to stick with it. My housing up in Telluride has been off and on. I mean, I've been in the same place for about 15 years, actually, in a condo complex that just before the pandemic, they, they wanted to sell it, and then that kind of went away. And then, there were rumors about how everybody was going to get kicked out. That was about a year ago to 6 months ago, new owners, and that they wanted it just for their employees. So there's definitely been some ups and downs with, as my housing has been stable for a long time. It's been very up and down lately, with pretty much nowhere, for me to go beyond that. So that's why I've been trying to, with the rural homes, applying for their amazing opportunities, and just would love this consideration, and would, really appreciate your guys', time and consideration here.
Okay, thanks, Erin.
Thank you very much.
Any other further public comment? I see Kristen's hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I recognize housing in this entire region, Telluride, Norwood, Uray is difficult and hard to come by, but I know there are many locals here in the Uray County region that have applied and are interested in gaining housing here. And I really think that although I know it's hard for everyone in this region, we need to prioritize our locals first. And then if we can't fill the homes, reach out to others. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay, I will close the public comment period. Bring it back up here for deliberation. I guess for my own sake, I would just say, I've heard the comments. I understand how important it is that we do prioritize people who are currently working as much as possible in at least Uray County, if not Ridgway School District boundary specifically. Prioritizing that, making sure that we're really clear on that priority for the community at large, I think is really important. I still struggle with the details, but I think this one is probably best to try and keep a slot open for another, at least Uray County resident, if not.
Yeah, I think I actually feel more emphatic this second round that because the requirement that you live in and work in the Ridgway School District existed, we have people within this county who didn't apply and didn't ask, are not here in this exception period. Because they felt that they were excluded by the restrictions. So I would much rather that be opened up to an exception period if there's a home left at the end.
I think that's a good point. If there's a Uray School District teacher that didn't apply because they thought they wouldn't qualify, but could qualify in a future round, that would be preferable to having a Telluride School District employee.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
I was trying to sort through some of the website information from Rural Homes LLC while we were talking. The common thread and the single and first example they use is about teachers. So that, their primary example for the use of these a lot of philanthropic funds from the Telluride Foundation are what's underpinning this project, and they use teachers as the example. So whereas I agree with the comments and the focus on the rules as they've been established, this does it's complicated. I mean, she has 19 and a half years of working as a teacher in the region. And that is the primary example they use when they describe the nature of this project. So just throwing that out there for further consideration.
But I would love to waltz through the halls of Uray School and be like, who wants this house before we offer it to a Telluride teacher? That's how I feel about that.
I mean, honestly, I think that's the point that sways me most. Is you're right, Terry, that the emphasis is on teachers, but the emphasis in the next breath is on teachers who work in at least in the county, if not the Ridgway School District boundary. So
that's the way the rules were established, I understand.
So someone want to make another stab at a motion?
I move to deny the exception request for Aaron Dashner.
Second.
All right, excuse me, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Grambley,
Aye.
Beth Lakin,
Aye.
Terry Schuyler,
Aye.
JT Thomas,
You're on mute, JT.
Aye.
Russ Meyer,
Aye.
John Clark.
Aye. Sorry, Aaron. Keep trying. Hopefully there'll be a place for you in one of these projects. So that completes the list of exception requests, I believe. Do we have any other business?
Other business.
Unless anyone else objects, I will declare us adjourned. Thank you.
Interesting.